Here we go.
Why not?
That's it. Don't say why not. That's what my old Spanish teacher used to tell me in high school.
How did you say that in Spanish or in English?
No, fuck no. Said it in English.
Feel like he
It's,
didn't set you up for success there.
I I cannot remember a word of Spanish.
That's all right.
It's school in the UK. You're basically gonna learn how to pickpocket and survive. That's all you got.
That's
But
funny.
hey, mate, I gotta ask purple hair. First of
I just,
all, it looks
yeah.
fucking great.
Thank you.
Like it suits you. You know when someone got some wacky style and you're like, that's a bit wacky, but also you're fucking rocking it.
Thank you. Well, I think like I've had it for that long that when I look in the mirror, I don't even really see the purple. It's like the weirdest thing because sometimes like people will really stare at me and
Mm.
it'll take me a moment to be like, oh shit, I've got purple hair. Like, because it's just like it's normal. It's so normal to me. I'm like, wait, that's not a normal hair color. But I've had it for like years and years. So it's just
Oh,
part of
really?
my, yeah.
I mean, it looks great.
Thanks.
Like I do the same thing. I look in the mirror sometimes, like, oh shit, I am blonde. Like I forgot about that. I forgot how blonde it gets, But hey, that's usually when I see the sun, which ain't that often.
No, do you not get a lot of sun in New Zealand?
Well, now I'm in New Zealand, I get it. Yeah, but when I was back
Yeah.
home, like, come on, maybe
Yeah, yeah,
once a
it's pretty
year for
dreary.
15 minutes.
Oh, it's so sad.
But dude, the fitness industry, why did we get into it? And I think the biggest thing that stood out before I give you the reins and you run off with it, before the biggest thing that stood out was just being yourself and like being
Mm,
authentic, right? So I guess a two-pronged question. One, why do you get
yeah,
into this thing called fitness, right? And then two, why is it important to be authentic?
cool. All right. Well, the fitness industry, I've been training for a really long time. Like, I pretty much joined a gym when I was 16, but leading up to that, I was always like the girl that avoided PE. I always
Hmm.
was randomly sick on the day where there was PE. And I grew up in Germany, so it was like a quite a bad culture. Like, it was a very small school, really mean PE teacher. So I was really scarred from the whole thing. And when I was in my like early teens, I actually developed an eating disorder because I was like, oh, I'm going to lose a little bit of weight, sort of how that cycle goes. And it developed into something bigger. So I ended up really anorexic, like quite underweight. And then I was trying to recover. And when I recovered, I was sort of finding that, my body was ahead of my mind, right? Because you put on weight, but your mind like takes a lot longer to catch up. I was in therapy, all that stuff, right? So when I was 16, I was like, I'm going to join a local gym to do yoga because I heard that yoga is a really good thing you can do to sort of just like relax your head, all that stuff, right? So joined and did yoga, went to my yoga classes, really loved them. And then I saw that people were lifting weights and there was, I don't know if you know body pump, that
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
big, like Les Mills classes, like that was like all the rage back then, right? Essentially just imagine like a whole bunch of mostly women in a room with little barbells, like lifting weights around, right? And I was like, maybe I could do that. So started doing those classes and then I just really loved like the feeling of actually getting stronger after being so mean to my body for so long and always wanting to be smaller. I was like, wait, this is good. Like being strong is good. So yes, that's how I got into training. And then I moved to Australia and over here, body pump was really, really big, like was really having its moment. So I actually became an instructor when I
Mm.
was 18. And then I just fell into the fitness industry. I did my personal training course, worked as a one-on-one PT for a while. And I think I just really sort of like found myself through training, Um,
Dude,
yeah.
I love this shit. Like people are kind of having the epiphany moment through training, right? It's
100%.
so beautiful, and it doesn't matter what physical feat they did, right? It could have been yoga, it could have been Pilates, it could have been hiking or running, it could have been Olympic weightlifting, it could be crazy, or it could just be something pretty small. But then you kind of find your stride, and you're like, oh, this is kind of who I am. It's like peeling back those layers, right?
100%. Yeah. And I also feel like it's just, I don't think people really understand like the level of confidence you can get from gym. just from like putting that work into yourself. And not to sound cliche, but the whole like you versus you. I think for me, because I was always so scared of like team sports, because I was so scarred from PE, I never truly had something that was like, oh, it's just me. Like it's exercise, but it's just about me, which I really loved. So, and yeah, I think on that whole journey, I think because I was trying to hide myself for so long when I was going through all that, eating disorder stuff, just I just like started to learn that I really just like being true to myself. So like back to your second question, I'm just like, I just think life is too short not to show up as exactly who you want to be. Like if I want to have purple hair, I'm going to have purple hair. If I want to have a bunch of tattoos because they make me happy, I'm going to do that. And I see so many people who are just like so scared of what other people think of their appearance. Like constantly with my hair, people are like, I could never do that. And I'm like, of course you can. Like, just do it. Just do it. And you know what? The response is going to be more positive than not, because usually when you show up authentically, other people want to do the same. And it's just like, we have to do that so that other people can feel like they can do it as well. So that's why I think that's so important.
Why do you think people get caught up in keeping up with the Joneses so often?
Well, I think because we always think the world revolves around us, right? So you always think that like someone else is going to
Yeah.
look at you and just like suddenly going to have all these thoughts, and it's going to be this whole big deal just because you decided to show up differently to them. But actually, like everyone's world revolves around themselves. So I think that's where people go wrong, right? They think that if they do something different, it's going to just be like this crazy response from other people. But actually, like it's not like that, because
Mm.
we're all caught up in our own business.
Yeah, one of the greatest things or pieces of advice I was ever told was no one gives a fuck about you. And
Yeah.
it's just essentially if you like break it down, don't take it personally, of course, but like you kind of break it
No.
down, you're like, actually, yeah, like people are just so stuck in their own little bubble that nobody really cares. As long as you don't like push them so far out of their way, like you can kind of do what you want in life and nobody
Yeah,
really gives a shit.
exactly. Yeah, and plus, I always think like, as long as you're not intentionally causing harm or like
Yeah.
trying to ruin other people's days, then it's like just do what you want to do. Like life
Mm.
is literally too short, and they're not going to care. And usually, if you do something that creates waves, like it's going to attract more people who respond positively, which is
Mm.
awesome.
Mm. How how can we get more ladies acting like that? Because they're usually a little bit more apprehensive, right? Especially to get into the weight room. With dudes, they're a bit dumb. They try things. We can get onto them later if we need to, but they're a little bit dumb. They just need to get slapped in the face. But with ladies, you gotta anecdotally, of course, this is just plain experience of just sometimes you gotta molecule them a little bit more and bring them in. You gotta pull them out of their shell, right? How do we as coaches, how do we as people of just helping one another, friends, family, spouse, whatever? How do we encourage that? How do we encourage people to just be who they truly are instead of without pushing them?
Yeah. I think it's always just like it's figuring out what the barrier is, right? So, I mean, if you're a coach or you have a friend, or it's just having that actual conversation and digging a little bit deeper and asking, like, what is it that is scary to you about that? For example, like a lot of girls will have gym anxiety because, again, they think that the world revolves around them and everyone's going to be looking at them, which is not the case. But then when you dig deeper, it's like, well, you actually have that gym anxiety because you don't want to look stupid, quote unquote. But that's just because of a lack of knowledge, because you go in there and you don't know what you're doing, right? So maybe for that person, it's just cool. We're gonna do whatever it takes to make you feel like when you go in there, you got to know what you're doing. And then you just take that first step. And I think like with confidence and being yourself as well, it's just the more often you can just like show up just once briefly as that, it takes the fear out of it. So it's like confidence is just practice and just like doing something over and over. And then eventually you're like, oh, this is what I do now. This is like how I show up now. So, but I think it comes down to having a conversation with the individual to try and figure out like what exactly is the barrier.
Mm. Confidence is built off competence, right? And that usually means you got to take the first step,
Yeah.
and
And
it
repetition as well. Just like it's just practice.
and then it's making a habit, right?
Yeah.
It's that first one. It's that initial. You said the gym anxiety, right? And I think that's a perfect example, like that initial fear. I work out of a CrossFit gym, right? And it's
Mhm.
shutters are usually up, people are half naked, throwing barbells around, sweating, like it
You
looks
guys are
nasty,
hardcore.
right? It's
Yeah.
crazy. They're just throwing shit around the place, running in and out, and people are like, "What the fuck are these psychos doing?" I'm like, well, yeah, we are psychos. Like I agree. But it's also like, come on, you've got to get in the door, and
Mhm.
I find that our job is to take as many horses to water, but
Yeah.
eventually that horse has got to drink. We can't do the work for people. They've got to do it themselves.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But I think as well, like it's so important, like what you said as well, get them through the door because often people make up these stories in their minds about what something is going to be like. And, I do it as well. And you always think like something's going to be such a big deal or so scary or so intimidating. And then you get there, I'm sure with your gym, everyone's super fucking nice. So people probably walk in and they're like, oh, hang on, like all these sweaty people are actually amazing and they're motivating. And now this is a place where I want to be. But you would never figure that out if you didn't take the first step.
100%. At the end of the day, people just want to get a sweat on. They want to somewhat take a step towards their goal, right? Whatever that may be, it doesn't really matter. And also talk a little bit of shit, right? And just have a smile on their face
100%.
because life's too stressful enough as it is. This ain't super serious at the end of the day, guys. We're not going to the Olympic Games. We're not making money out of this. Well, I am,
Exactly.
but I'm stood at the front not working out. So it's like, let's just talk a little bit of shit. Let's just have a good time,
Yeah.
get a high five, and then piss off. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
But that's another thing. It kind of sparked a light bulb moment, right? That I play around with a lot in terms of the soft skills of coaching, right? Like people
Hmm.
skills, and
Yeah.
especially with I know we're communicating via the internet now, which is great, but especially because this is the way everybody does things, right? And then obviously COVID, like we're only just coming out the arse end of it socially. I found
Yeah.
people are still super standoffish. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is wrong with people, man? Like, how we need to talk to one another. Like, that's how we
Hmm.
get people through the door. Us out in the community, going getting coffee. How you doing? You all right? Why are you wearing like gym clothes? It's 9 a.m. Aren't you supposed to be going to work? It's like, oh well, yeah, I kind of work out of the gym. You know what I mean? Oh,
Yeah.
weirdos. Like, no, it's a friendly environment, and we need those soft skills, right? And to talk to people, and I think that's really, really fucking important. I think it's the majority of our job.
Yeah. I think it's the majority of everything in life, right? Because like I feel like communication and being able to connect with other people just is the foundation for everything,
Mm,
whether you're a coach or not.
I like that. I like that. It's we put so much chips in a basket of the hard skills. What's your
Mhm.
degree? What's your fucking this, that, and the other? What's those letters on a piece of paper that you did when you sat down in the exam hall and scribbled on another piece of paper, right? And I'm like, what? What's going on? I don't understand this. Like,
Yeah.
this doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't get
100%.
anything done. We're testing something that never gets put into practice,
Yeah.
and it's again, I think it lies on us, I think the fitness industry is like the base of society essentially because we're the first ones. Hopefully, you come to us before you go to the GP, not when there is an initial problem, but before there's a problem arise, right?
Yeah.
And then also, usually we're a little bit nuts upstairs, so we can go out and just talk to people. Don't
100%. Yeah.
come
We're
on,
people, aren't
we're
we?
crazy, mate.
Yeah.
We're nuts, but it's on us. I take a lot of responsibility in our industry. I think it's an incredible thing. It's a privilege to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it is on us to break down those barriers as well and like break those stigmas that people have around, going to the gym or maybe why training is for them and why they should start. I think we have such an important job to do in that way because so many people have just written off exercise or gym, saying like it's not for me. But actually, it's like it's for everyone, like in some way or form, it's for everyone. That doesn't mean that everyone needs to go and do CrossFit. That doesn't mean that everyone needs to become a bodybuilder, but it's like there's not a single person who wouldn't benefit from working on their health and fitness through exercise, as you know.
100%. Just do something. Just do your
Yeah.
fucking thing. It doesn't matter what it is. You can sit in your chair and wave your damn arms around until you get a sweat on for all I care. I don't care. Play the maracas, walk on your hands, practice some gymnastics. I don't care what you do, man. Just
I wish I could
whatever.
walk on my.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not pretty, but it's fun. But it's a nice little party trick,
Love that.
Out in the club, you next thing you know, someone does a split. You're like, well, that's definitely not happening. I'll just kick up upside down.
Good. Now you're giving away all your secrets.
Well, it happens. What else are you gonna do on a Tuesday afternoon?
Exactly.
If you're not in the gym, you gotta be in the club.
I'll get behind that.
I'm fucking with you. But what is the biggest thing coaching has taught you?
I think just the importance of personalization, because not no two people are the same. And I think it's so important to know, like you said before, how to connect to different people. And also because I think coaching, it's like there are some things where it's like one size fits most in the sense
Yeah.
of, hey, you want to get stronger on your bench? Like, here's a program that will make most people stronger on their bench, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But and that's fine. But it's being able to pivot as well, depending on the individual. And that's both in terms of their physical ability, or maybe they have like injuries, stuff like that. But then it's also like there might just be some things they absolutely fucking hate. And if you are trying to push your one size fits most approach on that person and they fucking hate it, then they're not going to do it, right? And the goal should be to give people something that they want to do long term. So yeah, I think that's, to me, like the biggest thing is just finding that balance between having something that just works and having something that works for the individual, and being able to talk to people and figure out like how we need to adjust so that it can be part of their life long term. Because to me, like that's the biggest goal. I want to equip people so that, after they've worked for me for a while, they're still going to hit the gym. Like I don't want it to be like, cool, I did Maurine's program and now I'm no longer motivated. Now I didn't really like it, so I'm not going to continue. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's just that, finding that balance.
Yeah, for sure. Like we're trying to put ourselves out of a job, right? Essentially.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If we train someone 3 times a week and everything's going great, and then we're still training them 3 times a week, 8 years later, I would stand on the side of the argument of, have you done your fucking job? I was like, no, because
Exactly.
that person is still an imbecile and doesn't know what they're doing, you know? So just teach them something. It's like if I go into an accountancy firm or Google or whatever, I know nothing. Like I am that infant. You got to teach me everything, right? But
Yeah.
that's what an intern's job is, to learn things. And essentially, we're doing the same thing. We got to teach them. There's what did we surpass 8 billion people or something crazy like that? We've not
I
got
don't
any
know.
competition.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of people in the
exactly.
fitness industry, but we've not got any competition. There's enough people out there that are unhealthy, that are sad, they want to improve, but they don't know where to start. There's enough fucking people out there.
And as well, I think it's important to remember as a coach, when you get distracted by maybe the competition, it's like there's only one you. There's only ever one you. And there are going to be people that connect to you better than anyone else, even if there's thousands of people offering exactly what you offer. No one is offering that as you.
Mm.
So I think that goes into it as well. And it's just having that confidence and knowing that, like, firstly, there's only one you, so only one person can offer what you have to offer. And secondly, like you said, there's always going to be people in need of this type of service. So we need to be setting people up to be independent, knowing that we're going to have more clients down the track.
Always, man. There's always people that need help with health, right? And we
Yeah,
know that health is just kind of the surface level. When you start peeling that back, there's habitual things in there, there's psychological things in there, there's family things in there, there's trauma, there's all that type of stuff, right? You're like, yeah, okay, like that's a long road, and there's a
yeah,
lot of people dealing with a lot of that stuff, wherever they are along that spectrum and that journey, right? And it's like, yeah, we're just kind of the first people, like,
yeah.
hey, how you doing? You all right? Like, give them a high five, give them a hug, fist bump, talk a little bit of shit, stand and shout in their face if you need to, give them a little hug
100%.
if you need to. We're just kind of
Yeah.
that kind of jack of all trades, and then we're just going to delegate and very respectfully punt them to different sides of the industry and be like, maybe you need a physio, maybe you need a counselor, maybe you need to go see whatever, right? And
Yeah, exactly.
that's
Yeah.
our job. We're kind of like the doorman, just like, now you're not on the guest list, son. Like, go away, go somewhere else. She's
Yeah, I do feel like we become a bit of like a, yeah, we sort of become a bit of like a secretary for like the rest of their health journey as well. But in a good way, because it's like you're the first been able to create that connection point. So then it's like exactly what you said. So like, cool, maybe there's some things where my scope ends, but like, yeah, go see your physio, do this, but then let's work together. So now you can actually tackle all this stuff that affects your health. And I'm just going to be here to help you manage it and sort of like make sense of it all.
And I'll tell you what, I'll go a little bit further and say, like, one of the best things is turn around to someone and say, you know what, I don't know, but I know someone who's probably gonna know. Here
Exactly.
you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you've just showed this person respect. There's like, I could bullshit you and take your dollars, but I'm not going to, right? And then you've developed that
Exactly.
relationship, and they're like, you know what, this person's kind of all right, you know. That's cool. You know, you could have just sold them some bullshit diet plan or some bullshit fucking whatever, right? And you're just like, well, no, I'm okay. You know, there's easier
Yeah.
ways to make a buck than the fitness industry.
I agree with that so much as well. And I actually do that a lot because, for example, I only do group coaching in person. I only do online coaching one-on-one. And sometimes people will come to me and like I know they need an in-person trainer, because online coaching isn't for everyone. I think especially when you're a complete beginner, if you are not very good at moving, if you have a lot of injuries, like you're probably going to be better off rocking up to a gym, seeing a personal trainer in person and working with them because they are actually going to help you move as well as you can. And I think like being able to say that as an online coach is really important because as much as I would love to take on everyone and work with everyone, it's ultimately about what's best for the client.
Yes, 100%. You know, we have to be better at delegating, you know, and then we work together. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
oh, hey,
exactly.
I might have an athlete who, you know, is a middle-aged lady, and I'm like, okay, great. Like, I can also obviously coach this lady. And they're like, well, maybe she has wants to be coached by a lady. I was like, well, here you go, chief. Like, I got a lady
Yeah,
here. She likes your vibe, blah, 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 blah. You're probably going to suit each other. There you go. You know, and it might be the other
yeah,
way around, right? And we're working together to what help people. That's why we got into this thing. You know, if we wanted to make fucking money, we'll be on OnlyFans or something. You know, it's like,
exactly.
I don't know. There's easier ways to make a buck, mate. You know, like you don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, you don't have to stay there and do 12 hours of work for 8 hours of pay or 6 hours of pay. You know, we've all done the shit
Yeah,
side of the industry, right? Where you're like,
yeah,
I'm technically making less than minimum wage. I was like, how is
yeah,
this
yeah,
legal? You're like, well, I don't know, mate. Like, but
yeah.
we're kind of
I think
holding people up.
it's definitely an industry that you get into because you love it above everything else. And if you're not in it because you love it, then you're probably not going to last as well because
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
so
all sunshine and unicorns.
100%. Like there's some crazy stat, right, coming out of the UK where it was like 95% of freshly qualified PTs quit the industry, like change industries within 1 year.
Oh yeah.
95%.
I thought it was even less, like, because I've worked in, so many different parts of the industry, like managing PTs and all this different stuff. And like 6 months was like good, considered good. And, if someone said past 6 months, it's usually like, cool, you're probably going to stay longer. But yeah, I don't think we're really equipping trainers with like everything that they need to get started.
No, and I don't think the commercial model helps. You know, setting up where you've got to rent the space as a sole contractor. They've barely even got
Yeah.
a pube on their nutsack. You know, they don't know how to talk to people. They got
Yeah.
zero athletes under their belt, right? And then you're charging them an extra 150, $200 a week. Plus they got to pay their own fucking rent. You're like, what the hell is going on? Why are we paying to work? You know, this doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. You know, and then
Yeah.
you've got to go and help the place. It's like, no, no, you're just taking advantage of these people. And they're usually
Yeah.
18, right? 19, you know, fresh out of bloody the mom's house. You're just like, Christ,
Yeah.
just let's just look after these people. So I would really advise people if they're getting fresh into the industry, go to a small independent gym
Mhm.
and work out of there for a while. Like kind of earn your stripes. You know, we got to earn the stripes in every industry, right? You know, go clean the toilets, make sure everything's neat and tidy, learn the
Yeah.
market inside, talk to people, you know. And then if you really wanted to do the commercial model and try and get some numbers, or that's your, you like to just see volume of people, crack on, man, go do your thing. But
I agree with that so much. I agree with that so much because I think as well, like, especially in our industry, it's like you never stop learning either. So, especially when you first start as a coach, I think you need to put yourself in an environment that's like where you have a lot of opportunity to learn and you're actually sort of in the more like intimate environment where maybe there is someone who can sort of mentor you because you know the course is so short. Like we can't stop learning when we finish our course. Like it just doesn't
yeah,
work. Yeah.
it's like your driver's license, right? Like you start learning
Yeah.
how to drive once you have your license. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. You start learning
Yeah.
how to coach people once you're actually doing it. You know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the test kind of gets your insurance ticked off. You know, it says you're not completely dumb. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, sweet. Like I can put pen to paper and I can kind of spell my name. You're like, well done, mate. Like, here
You're
you
killing
go.
it.
Here's your
Yeah.
certificate. And I'm like, thanks. Like,
Yeah.
let's crack on now. It was a long time ago when I did mine. Like my company went bust like years
Really?
ago. Yeah. Years
Oh
ago.
wow. How long are we talking? How long ago?
My PT,
Yeah.
10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's about the same as me actually.
Yeah.
2012, so 11 years.
Yeah, 10 years ago. And then my CrossFit was about eight.
Nice.
Eight on yeah, 7 or 8, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah. But I think you've just got to keep searching for new certs, right? And then just like send the coach an email. Yo, like I'd like your vibe on Facebook or whatever, Instagram. It might sound a little
Mm.
creepy and weird, but I don't know what people do these days, man. I just talk shit, and if you take it, you take it. If you don't, fuck it, whatever.
I love
And
it.
just be like, oh, hey, I'd love to like learn from you or whatever. Can we talk shop? You know,
Yeah.
we're all passionate about it. We've all got spare half an hour. You know,
Yeah. And I think that's it. It's like connecting with people because there's so many different opinions, you know, there's so many different ways that someone can approach their fitness journey. So really figuring out like where you sit in that and then connecting with people who are also on that path, I think is really powerful just to learn from each other because I think there can be a lot of noise as well. And it can get really overwhelming because you're like, fuck this. Like at any given time, there's like countless different ways to get the same result, which is awesome. But I think it's just knowing like what you stand for as well. And then also making sure it's based on actual evidence and things that work.
yeah, for sure. Especially dudes. I think we need to ask female coaches how they navigate certain things a little bit
Yeah.
more because, you know, I mean, everybody's walked into a gym, right? And you've seen like an array of coaches, even if it's just their pictures on the wall. And the ladies seem more open and warm. The dudes
Mhm.
look like all they train is biceps and they want to rip your head off, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
what? And you want to charge me $100 an hour? Go fuck yourself, son. Like
Yeah.
I'm not giving you that, mate. Like you just look like arrogant, right? And they're like, yes, you need to understand the kind of vibe you're giving off, right? And how do you do that? You go ask someone,
Yeah, that's right.
especially when a lady comes in and wants to get coached. Like you've got to be super careful. It's on them. You know, the job is not about you, as in the coach. It's about the athlete, right? You have to adapt the way you present yourself sometimes. I can't jump in and say cunt, shit, and fuck to everybody. Well, actually, I do,
And
but that's a
not
different
always going to
story.
land the same. Yeah.
No, it's not always going to land, you know, and like sometimes it doesn't land, and I'm like, okay, if it's really an issue, please pull me up on it, and I'll do my
Yeah.
best to shave the top 5% off. But like,
Yeah.
it's gonna come out anyway, you know. That's
But that
again,
also comes back to just like you being yourself and then knowing that you are not for everyone. I think there's a difference between like just accepting like, cool, I like you're happy with being yourself, you're not for everyone, and but you're going to be really for some people. And then slightly being able to adjust your communication style depending on the person. I think both are important.
yeah. I'm kind of the guy who'll walk into a corporate scene and be like, right, cunts, how's things? You know,
Yeah, I think that lightens the mood. I think that's great.
100%, you know, like if it's either gonna land or it's gonna land straight on the floor. But either way, I'm gonna be walking out laughing.
Yeah, that's right. And like also it says more about the other people than you if they're offended by that. So
Yeah, come on, man. You know, there's a lot more serious things in the world. Like there's legitimate still poverty in the frigging world. And you're getting like oh, your knickers in a twist with the vibrations coming out of my mouth. You're like, come on, son. Like, you got some weird perspective on life, man. You know, but hey,
100%.
maybe I do too. Dude, I got three questions.
Mhm.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
The greatest piece of life advice, and this is probably, I think it's just to show up as yourself so that other people can show up as themselves too. And I think that's the greatest piece of advice because I've just seen it be true so often. And that's like sort of my favorite thing about when people reach out to me and they're like, and I've had that effect on them, where in some way I've empowered them to do something that like they've always wanted to do, or like, yeah, it's color their hair, or like just actually like become serious about the gym, because they follow me or because they've been around me like that. I find so awesome. And like, I just see it like true time and time again. So I think that's probably the best piece of advice.
Mm. It's the Coach Carter quote, right?
I don't know, is it?
There's nothing enlightened about playing small so that other people don't feel insecure around you.
Yeah, I love that.
It's just shine. Just do your fucking thing. Be you. Be you, man. It's beautiful. Like somebody just doing their thing and like proper into it, whether they're painting, coaching, typing into a computer or cutting grass, right? If it's their thing, they just shine.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's so pretty to watch. Like a human being just kind of lit up, just kind of throwing that energy out into the world. It's stunning, man. Like just do
Yeah,
your
it's
thing.
inspiring. Yeah.
Do your thing and fuck everybody else.
But still be nice to them.
Yeah, yeah, sure. But I mean, if they don't like it, and they're trying
That's
to
right.
push it down, fuck them.
Yeah.
Go out with a
Yeah.
hard dick and your middle finger held up high. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Love
Question
that.
two. What is
Mhm.
the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
Uh, that would have to be this golden nugget from my dad, which
Oh,
is always expect the worst so that you're not disappointed. Because it's like pretty much the opposite to how I live my life, because
yeah.
I just think that sets you up for a miserable life. And I prefer to have a happy life. So I tend to be like a little bit over optimistic. But usually like I just figure that you either, because there's so much joy in expecting a good outcome, and sometimes because that's how our brain works as well, like the outcome and the joy leading up to the outcome are almost equal, right? So
Mm.
I figure I may as well spend all that time like excited and happy, and then you know what, if it doesn't go my way, then it's still an opportunity for learning. And like we always get through, you always get past it. Like something doesn't go your way, it's fine, like ultimately you'll be okay, but at least you didn't also waste all that time leading up to it being miserable. So that's why I think that's the worst piece of advice.
Mm. I like that. I like that a lot. Trying to be more optimistic. That's definitely
Yeah,
something that the leaf I've turned over in the past few years, 100%.
that's
Getting out
good.
of getting out of home, you're like, maybe you don't have to be fearful of the worst thing anymore. You can kind of hope for the best. And
I also feel like the older you get, the more things you have under your belt that you think were really tough. And then you're like, I made it through every single one of them. And I
mhm.
think that's the thing, is like just knowing that you're always going to be okay, no matter what happens, like you're always going to be okay. So I think that's a really powerful thing, but you sort of need to age and like go through more shit to realize that, yeah, okay, that's actually true.
It's kind of like you have to prove to yourself that you're hard to kill, right?
100%.
Mm. Okay, final question. What are the three words you tell your younger self?
3 words, as in like a short sentence or.
Up to you, Chief. You can go short sentence, you can go three, kind of packing their own punch.
Oh, this is so hard. I think I think it would probably be like, you are strong.
Mm.
Because I don't think my younger self felt like that. And I think like strength in a lot of ways, like just knowing that like you're strong, like and that's what you're going to take into your future. And it's both like not just physical, but like mentally resilient as well. Because I think, yeah, specifically thinking back to like my early teens, when I was like struggling with all that stuff, that's really what I I didn't feel strong in any way or resilient. So I think that's what I would tell my younger self.
Man, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much. This has been a fucking honor and a privilege.
It's been so great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll always talk shit and shop whenever you want. You know, you're always welcome
Love
back.
that. Love that.
And if you ever
All
make it
right.
across the pond there in New Zealand, let's throw it down. Let's throw some weights
We'll
around.
do a CrossFit workout. I'm already scared. Look,
Good. You
I'll
should
try.
be.
Can
I'm
get this
scared too.
bodybuilder body.
Or we could do a body pump instead, you know, like the pink dumbbells.
I think I've graduated from that now.
I think it still kicked my ass. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's still hardcore. You know, I'll still get a sweat on.
100%. 100%.
Well, dude,
I love
thank you
it.
so much. And
Thank
you have a
you.
great day and we'll speak soon.
All right. See ya.
Thank you. Bye everybody.